Listen, welcome to Conversations with King. Once again, you know how we do. I'm not starting this show until I get the necessary amount of people to come in. This is a very special show. I got a special guest. I got an expert. We're not going to have one of these raunchy shows. It is going to get spicy, though. It's going to get spicy, but today we're here to teach, and we're going to drop receipts, and that's what we do. I just want everybody to know, don't mind what you heard. I had a good talk with my brother today, and he let me know it's time for us to move forward. I told him I'm going to drop some little Brooklyn BS here and there, but it's time for us to be mature and move forward because they really not really messing with us on any level. The person I got today is going to shake up the world, shake up the YouTube streets, and I promise you, you are going to enjoy this show. It's going to be a timeless show. So, if you don't believe me, just get everybody in the room, have them join in. You know, I need my little 20, 30 before we start. You know, it goes to 100. You're going to love this show. It's going to be very spicy. And ladies, to the ladies, y'all can't submit because y'all don't know how to serve. And I'm going to show you why. But you're going to love this show. Until then, I'm going to play my little jams and wait till, yeah. So we know it's funny. Y'all missed the old king. I'm going to bring the king back. I'm going to bring Baba back. I'm going to bring Poppy back. I'm going to invite my boy up here soon. And when he comes up, I want you to show him love. His YouTube channel is OLSPEAKS TV. Let's get busy. Let me stop playing with y'all. I'm tired of this. Let me stop playing with y'all. Oh, what's up, baby? What's going on? What's going on, brother?
What's up? What's good, baby?
Nothing much, but I'm so happy you're here right now, and I appreciate you for coming. This is going to be a show, a real show, a fly young brother who is educated, who is accredited. I don't have people up here, reading 2 books talking about they writing about narcissism and shit. I'm talking about I got a brother who actually went to school for this, who actually is a trained life love coach, an author, right? Before we do anything, I want to make sure y'all go and get his book because it's very important that you might have to go and cop this book because he's going to drop jewels. I met this young man on Clubhouse, and then we continue our relationship to make an impact in the community with Ask a Black Man Anything. I separated from Ask a Black Man Anything. He went his way as well, but we reunited because he has a voice that needs to be heard. And I really wanted him to come on here and not play. Today is the day that we're going to tell the truth and we're going to drop some jewels for everybody. Please get everybody in the room. I want the ladies to stay in the room because it's a lot of questions. I repeat, there are a lot of questions that you're going to want to ask him. You're going to want to ask me, and we're going to be no holds bars. Today is why women don't submit because they can't serve. You can't submit, ladies, because you can't serve. And to me, it's a cop-out. But before I go on, we have to do a little something. You could take your mic off mute if you want. We have to do a vetting process. We'll do a vetting process now because we don't want to co-sign or align ourselves with just anybody anymore. People have to come in and be correct and come with it. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and from then, the garden, we call them the garden because the men are the rocks, solid, and the women are flowers. We're here to protect them, but also nurture them and help them grow correctly. So with that being said, tell us about yourself. Tell us your accreditations. Tell us your pathway, and tell us what you plan on doing on YouTube and what you bring to the game.
Beautiful. So what's up, everybody? Let me start out by saying shout out to the one, the only King, doing the daggone thing in these YouTube streets. I'm happy to be here, happy to be a part of the conversation. Always excited to be a part of good, positive, healthy conversations that's going to make a difference for the community. So thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to be here. A little bit about me. My name is O. Lamont Roberson. Most people know me as O, and I welcome you all. Y'all can call me O. Thank you for the love, April. I see you, Queen. I am a trained mental health professional. I'm a published author of one book entitled Love Nuggets, Love Nuggets is a 31-day journey and journal for singles and couples, and it's really designed to be a talking point for various topics that are really, really important to love and relationship that unfortunately we're just not talking about or not talking enough about in the dating phase before we get married. And so I wrote the book out of my own pain. I really sought to take the lemons from my own negative experiences and squeeze that so that other people can have some good lemonade for them to sip on. And so I'm excited about the book. The book has been out for about 2 years now. It continues to do well. And so I'm excited to be a part of this conversation. I've been in the love and relationship game for a couple years now. And I've been talking with couples all over the globe from various parts of life, from various socioeconomic status about love and relationship, really just to gain knowledge and information and also to impart wisdom for people who are really seeking to be successful in love and relationship. So I'm excited to be here and I'm ready to get it going, man.
Okay. So one of the things that we want to ask you, thank you for telling us who you are, what you do, and is there any way we can get in contact with you after the show? Because a lot of things you're going to drop, my show is my channel, but I want people to be able to reach out to you personally if they need consultation, they need coaching, or they need, further guidance in regards to love and relationships.
Absolutely. I appreciate the question. So most people hit me up on Instagram. They can follow me on IG at OLSPEAKS. Once again, at OLSPEAKS. You can follow me on IG there. If you're looking to reach me directly, you can drop me a line in the DMs, and I respond to my DMs fairly quickly. You can also shoot me an email, and I'll drop my email information in the chat, and you can send me a direct email. If you're looking for coaching, you're looking for counseling, I'm here to help any way that I can. Time is precious, so know that if we're working together, we're rocking together, then my intention, my desire is to see you get better as a person and ultimately see your relationship get whole so that we can change and impact the community.
What city you rep? So we make sure we understand this.
So I'm from Philly. I'm a Philly boy.
Philly boy. All right.
Yeah, I'm originally from Philly. I come to you by way of Charlotte, North Carolina tonight, where I currently reside, but I'm originally from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection.
Yes, I love it. Shout out to Loverboy Lensky. Loverboy Lensky, if you don't know, he's the captain of the ship. He's the head moderator. So he's going to make sure everybody stays on point. We got April Carter, Queen Nita. We got Chris. So we got a lot of moderators in here that's, show us love and make sure everything goes smoothly. We're going to have a great conversation today. And this conversation is going to begin now. So the topic today is you can't submit because you can't serve.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming on YouTube for the first time to one of the most spiciest channels on YouTube, at least within the Black YouTube space, I think, right? Which is Conversations with King. We got a lot of aggressive women, assertive women, intelligent, beautiful women in our chat and that watch the show. Why would you come with that spicy topic? And why is that? Why do we need to address that within our community?
So I think that the topic of submission has really been swirling around a lot probably in the last year or two. But I think it's important for us to talk about it on your show because I know that you have an amazing audience that is supporting the work that you're doing. They're pulling up on you. They're showing up week after week for your amazing content. And they are trying to figure out how to navigate love and relationship in 2022. And I think that there are some key ingredients that they either are wrestling with or that they're lacking that I think that I have to offer to the audience tonight that's really going to help them overcome the challenge in time with patience and consistency in their love and relationships. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight. It's something that I'm passionate about. I think that we overcomplicate it, but I think that the answer to that can come in a few nuggets that I'm going to drop later on tonight.
Right. All right. Do you believe Black women are submissive?
I believe Black women have the ability to be submissive.
What's the difference?
So the difference is because of the culture and society that we live in today, unfortunately, we have groomed a Black woman, a Black queen, to be aggressive and to be defensive and to be protective. And so as a result of the culture and community in which she is growing up, she isn't naturally submissive because that's not the kind of queen that we cultivate anymore, or in fact, ever have. But I believe that with some careful thought, some reteaching, and some healthy tools, she can be submissive if she desires to.
Right. Why? What does it benefit a black woman to be submissive? These men are not doing what they need to do, period.
Hey, let me just push pause for a second to say you giving them questions back to back, and it's fire. It's amazing. I love it. And so, why does it benefit the black woman to be submissive? I think that the truth of the matter is, for two people to survive in a relationship, submission really is a two-way street, and it's necessary in order for families and communities to continue to grow and evolve over time. And so it benefits the black woman to be submissive because it allows her to partner with her male counterpart and build a life that she ultimately desires.
Right. All right. What you sound like right now is like, this is an ideal situation. Within our community, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm a black man, I'm letting you know, we are not really stepping to the plate as that. We do have some good black men such as yourself that are out there, but you're telling a woman to be submissive to men who don't make more than them, to men who are not educated as like they are, to men who might not be capable of leading. So how do you expect black women to be submissive?
I love this question. So a couple of things have to be taken into consideration. The truth of the matter is, anyone that we go into a relationship with, there is going to be some things that both persons have to work on. So my encouragement to my sisters is to really go into love and relationship thinking about it from a variety of different perspectives, understanding that while his challenge or his difficulty or his issue might be leadership, her issue might be submission, or her issue might be poor management of finances, or her issue might be impatience, or her issue might be loyalty. Because you know, black women never cheat. We know that they don't never cheat. So with that being said, keeping in mind that every person comes into a relationship with issues allows there to be an attitude and a posture of grace that we are often lacking in black loving relationship. So one of the reasons why, one of the things I would encourage her to do is come to the relationship understanding that while his issue might be leadership, he might not be good at it. She too has her areas of growth where she needs some development as well.
Right.
The second thing I would say is I think it's important, or it would be a good idea to continue to process and think about the area of submission, even when she may not make as much money, is because the life that we live as people really isn't about you and I. It's really about the greater good for the greater community. And so if the black woman refuses to submit, if she refuses to surrender, to put down her arms, it puts our community in a situation where we're unable to thrive and be successful long term.
Okay. Why do you make a correlation between a woman being submissive and a woman having the ability to serve?
So the reason why I like those words, and the reason why I love tonight's title, is because there was a time in our culture and society when black women needed black men more. And because they needed black men more, they came with a different mindset. They came with a different approach and a different attitude. And it was often from this space or this mindset: how can I serve? How can I help? How can I support the team? How can I hold up my king? And so I like this title because it really allows our listeners tonight to really begin to think about what submission looks like, and the idea of if they can submit with the idea or the mindset that they are coming to their relationship as a servant, then it allows them to really begin to process the topic or the idea of submission much differently. If I'm coming to you as a waiter or a servant or a staff, and you're doing the same with me, and we have those as goals, a mutual understanding in our relationship, it really creates a harmony in the garden of love, so to speak, that right now doesn't exist.
Okay, check this out. I was on Instagram today, and I saw something, right? Okay. And I thought it would be fitting to bring up during our discussion. I like to have surprises, and I have two surprises for you. One of the surprises is an IG quote. And I think it encourages the dysfunction within black females. And I want us to go over this quote, and I want ladies who are watching and who are listening to go over this quote with us, because to me, black women particularly have a dysfunction when it comes to submission and servitude. So I want to talk about it. if you don't mind, please read and let's dissect it. Let's examine this.
So the quote says, "I'm not begging nobody to be with me. I'm crazy, not ugly." Laughing emojis. Y'all be safe though. Laughing emojis.
Now you see the dysfunction in that.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
see, and this is the thing that I have to tell our black women. Today, I sent it to several black women, this quote, and they all laughed. And they all chuckled. And they felt that it was cute. And it is funny on a superficial level, but if you go deeper into this, it shows dysfunction on a level or on a magnitude that is disturbing. I'm not begging nobody to be with me. I'm crazy, not ugly. Our woman, in my opinion, feel that submission comes from a place of lack, comes from a place of neediness, comes from a place of desperation. I'm not begging you to be with me. I'm crazy. I have issues. Maybe most of my issues do come from black men or society, but I don't have to. Don't worry about that. I look good. I got my education. I got my money. I have ownership. I have everything that you lack. So I don't have to chase you. I don't have to submit to you. And to me, that's problematic.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that quote?
So I really want to talk first about the B clause of this statement.
Okay.
I'm not crazy. Excuse me. I'm crazy, not ugly. I think let's tackle that part first. I'm crazy, not ugly. First of all, we live in a culture and society that does everything it can to demean the black woman. So for it to be popular, for it to be joked about, for it to be made fun of the idea that a black woman might be dysfunctional or mentally unstable is problematic in and of itself. And then to turn around and add to that by saying, I'm crazy, not ugly, it suggests that this person who wrote this, puts more value in her beauty than she does in her own sanity. It suggests that it is more important for her to be good looking than it is for her to be sane. And because she thinks she's so good looking, she feels like she does not have to position herself to find a mate, find a long-term.
Wait, hold up. It said begging, but you're saying position.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm changing the language slightly is because I think that in 2022, if we're going to find love and relationship, both people need to be willing to do what it takes to go after love and relationship. And so I don't subscribe to the notion that a woman can't drop her napkin or drop a hint or throw a comment or a compliment in hopes that the brother will lean into that and create more conversation and shoot his shot. And I don't necessarily totally agree with the idea of a woman shooting her shot, depending on how she goes about doing it. And so I think that, again, in this quote, there's a lot that's wrong with it. But for me, a lot of it has more to do with the fact that she thinks she's so beautiful that she doesn't have to position herself or she doesn't have to pursue love and relationship. And then she adds to it that she's crazy.
Right.
That's for me, that suggests that the mindset of the women, bringing the conversation slightly full circle here, the mindset of women today is changing in a way that is really harmful for our community. And that is, we've gone from this mindset of how can I serve my partner? How can I serve you? How can I partner with you to make life better? To it's survival of the fittest. I got mine, go get yours. Step your game up, elevate.
Right. Is that mindset healthy?
I think that mindset is extremely harmful. I don't think it's helpful or healthy at all. And the reason why is because when we look at statistical data, that kind of mindset, I got mine, go get yours, puts us in a space where we're always going to be butting heads with one another. There's always going to be this constant tug of war. And, looking at the data, looking at statistics, while Black women are the most mistreated and mishandled people on the face of the planet,
yes,
I would go as far as to say that Black men are the most disenfranchised. And so if we talk specifically about that in the educational system, when a little Black girl shows up to the classroom and she's misbehaving, questions around whether or not she's eaten, questions around what's going on at home are questions that are asked. But when a little Black boy is misbehaving, he's immediately sent to the principal's office. The punitive method of dealing with his behavior is immediately employed. And so what does that do? That puts the Black boy out of the classroom. Right. And that leaves the Black girl there still with the opportunity to learn information and become educated, allowing her to do what we see Black women doing today, being successful, building businesses. And so that I got mine, you got to get yours attitude plays into a system and a narrative that ultimately hurts our community. And that's the problem with it.
See, this is why I have you on the show, because he gets spicy, but he backs it up with data. And this is what we're gonna really bring the juice right now, because I'm not gonna play with O. I'm gonna let O know that he's gonna earn his keep here, because O is gonna bring the heat. So I got a surprise for you, O. And I want everybody, I know everybody's been seeing it today, and to me, it deals with the mindset that he was talking about that is disruptive. Shout out to TV Trucking, we love you, brother. Shout out to Truth, we love you, brother. It talks about the mindset that we have to escape and be more communal and more healing. And this woman on IG stated she changed her mindset.
Yeah,
I have issues with it. Okay. And me, you're gonna have a little pushback, but I know you're gonna drop those jewels. So let me just play it for you right now. Tell me what you think. And as everybody comes in, I'm sorry you missed earlier. We set the stage up. I know people are coming in. It's going to get real spicy. All right, let me play this for you. Tell me what you think.
Decided to take my son's father off of child support because it was causing turmoil in our co-parenting relationship. Recently, I looked up a few places for him to get his CDL so that he could possibly start his own trucking company, or he can even carry loads and make money for himself. What I decided was, you know what, Brittany, let me change my mindset. Let me help him help us take care of our child. And that's co-parenting.
Let me play it again for those who didn't hear it. We see the mindset of being independent and holding men accountable through the court system. Now she says, let's work together. Let me be a little bit submissive in my approach and uplift him. And she said, that's a real co-parenting. I have issues with it, but I'm not a parent and I'm not married, but I have issues with the ideology behind it. But I see how it makes life a little bit more easier. But I want to play it again for the audience, those who are watching, and then we're going to unpack it, right?
Let's get it.
So I decided to take my son's father off of child support because it was causing turmoil in our co-parenting relationship. Recently, I looked up a few places for him to get his CDL so that he could possibly start his own trucking company, or he can even carry loads and make money for himself. What I decided was, you know what, Brittany, let me change my mindset. Let me help him help us take care of our child. And that's co-parenting. So I decided to.
Okay, so may I go first?
Listen, I am anxious to hear what you have to say about it. Drop them nuggets, drop that wisdom. Let me know what you think.
And listen, anybody that has any questions, please let us know. He's looking at the comments too. And we'll figure it out. And remember, please forgive me. I am not a parent.
Okay.
I come from a two-parent household. I never experienced this before. Shout out to Dr. Hood, baby. We love you. We respect you for real, for real. Skis is yours. What's up, baby? From the superficial presentation of her argument,
Okay.
it sounds peaceful. It sounds righteous. But as you listen to her and you go deeper, she's doing this because she has no choice.
Okay, say more.
She's doing this. She's stepping out of the courtroom to hold a man accountable because he's still not making enough for her to be satisfied in raising a child. And I'm just assuming she has better, she gets a better outcome by taking him off the child support where he's paying the bare minimum anyway. And empowering him to get more. She's gambling. Because she didn't say he is driving a truck like TBE Trucking, whose wife, he's one of our premier audience members, who really got him into truck. He owns 3 or 4 trucks right now and takes care of the family. He has a special woman in his life. She's doing this because she's not making enough from child support, in my opinion. So she has to empower him to get the results that he wants. If he wasn't struggling, this wouldn't be an issue. I don't agree with child support, but I do think that men who financially or economically neglect the welfare of their child and their baby mother need to be held accountable. You can't say I take care of my child and not take care of the baby mother.
You're saying a whole lot tonight.
That's my opinion.
I'm gonna need another sip here.
That's my opinion. I don't like when people say I take care of my daughter and my son, but your baby mother is lacking certain things. It's problematic to me. Very problematic to me. Child support is just a fraction of what you should be paying. Woman, first and foremost, stop getting these men that can't take care of you and provide a lifestyle you want babies. Stop giving them babies. That's number one. So it's your fault initially. But after you have the baby, it's the man's job to make sure that you're comfortable to raise their children in the right environment. And child support is not enough. It's not enough. So what she did was say, I'm not going to take it to court because he's already mad at me and he's not going to do the extras that I need to raise his child. Because, most of the time, not all men, some men raise their children and have full custody like our boy Darrell. But then you have most of the time, the majority of the time, you have women who take care of the child during the school year, Monday to Friday, and the father is weekend warriors. And you mean to tell me giving that mother 500, 400, maybe 1,000 a month is enough? You're bugging. But I get it though. That's what this is the penalties of a woman not being submissive. Why do we have to get to this place for? Right? Why aren't you submissive to the point that I want you to be taken care of? Whether I'm in the house or not. You have women that say, you know what? Even if I was submissive, he still wouldn't make enough to take care of me and my child the way he needs to. Then whose fault is it then? You chose the wrong man. You submitted to the wrong man sexually. And you submit to the wrong man sexually, but you should find a man you can submit to economically and spiritually. And that's the problem. So I want you to dissect it, examine it like I did, and we could go back and forth because I'm having an issue with, I like what she said, but there's a lot of things that don't add up to me.
So first, let me start by saying this. I appreciate your honesty up front. When you first started speaking, you said, I'm not a father. And as you began to talk more, that became more evident. Then you said, I've never been in this situation, co-parenting situation. So we understand that. And then the last thing you said was that you were making some assumptions. Yeah. And so I appreciate your honesty up front. And that allows you to have a little grace from your brother tonight. I'm gonna throw you jabs, in the center mass and not below the belt.
Right.
And so with that in mind, a couple things come to mind. The first thing is, one of the reasons this conversation is so powerful, those of you who just jumped in, my name is Olamont Roberson. I'm a trained mental health professional, published author of one book, and a love and relationship coach. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining the conversation. One of the reasons why we're having this very important conversation, and one of the reasons why I wrote my book, Love Nuggets, is because there is a lot to be said around the people that we choose to lay down with and do life with. And there are some important lessons that we have to learn that we have not learned, and we continue to go in circles around. And you mentioned it. That is making sure that as a queen, as a woman, you choose somebody who has the ability to minister to your needs, not just physically or sexually, but emotionally, financially, and spiritually. All of those things are incredibly important.
When you say minister, what do you mean by the word minister to your needs?
Okay, so when I say minister, I mean meet those needs, speak to those needs in ways that that woman feels fulfilled and feels enriched and empowered. That's what I mean when I say minister.
Right.
And so, choosing a partner who can do that is incredibly important. I would go as far as to say it's also very challenging. So my heart goes out to my sisters that are single, looking for a good Black man who can do those things that I just mentioned. So there is issue with that. There is challenge with that. I agree with that aspect of what you said. When we talk specifically about her ability to submit in the confines of this, I think it's innovative. It's a unique perspective that I hadn't heard before. You asked the question, you said, why is it that she couldn't submit so much so that he had to have an outside factor hold him accountable? That's what you said. Those are the words you said to me.
Yes.
You said that to me just in different words. And I think that's a powerful perspective. And I think that there is merit for the question, but it puts a lot of the ownership on the woman and her role in the relationship. And the truth of the matter is, both things are true. Black men are having a difficulty showing up in love and relationship in a way that allows them to provide. And Black women are showing up in relationship in a way that is difficult, or they're often struggling with submitting, coming up under their man. And so I think both things are true. And the question only focuses its attention on the woman. And we have to address both if we're going to have this conversation thoroughly. To that end, I'll say that I think that when we talk specifically about your idea of her doing that because she felt like she didn't have a choice, I disagree, bro. I think that she did that because she recognized that there was a way to create harmony in her co-parenting relationship outside of a system that she knows to be more harmful than helpful to Black men. She had the wherewithal, the self-ingenuity. And see, this is why I love Black women so much, because she had the wherewithal within herself to say, you know what, I need this monthly income, but I see that it is causing problems in my ability to effectively co-parent for my child. And so I'm going to put away what may be an immediate need for financial support and lay that aside in hopes that I will create a healthier dynamic for my child and with my co-parent. That's powerful. That's powerful. I think that that's courageous. I think it really speaks to the ingenuity and the resilience of Black women in a powerful way. And so I think that that's what's happening there. Neither one of us know the details behind her story, so it could very well be true. It could be like, you know what, I'm not doing nothing extra. You took me to child support court. I'm going to pay that $450 a month. I'm going to pay that $500. Get out my face. I don't want to talk to you about nothing else. That could be his energy. That could be his vibe. We don't know. But I think that as a man of faith, the scriptures say that love covers a multitude of sins.
Yes.
Big Mama used to say, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar.
Right.
or birds with honey than you do with vinegar. And so with that in mind, I think that her effort to lead with love is transformative. And what it does is it positions her child, to see a model of love that would change the world. I mean, if we look beyond people's faults and their foolery in our everyday life, right, and we still led with love, you and I talked about it offline. If we forgive people's debts, we let the bygones be bygones, and we just let them rock. If they owe us for past rent, we let it ride. Led with love, right? It would change the world, and it would, more importantly, it would change our community.
You know, you're real. I remember we were talking earlier, and you called me, and I had to get off the phone a couple of times. And when I came back, I had to apologize to you, and I said to you, "I'm sorry, I had to talk to a tenant that's leaving." And I'm glad you made that analogy, which is, you know, for us to move forward, we have to know how to let go of things. Yeah. New York State is a sanctuary state. It's hard to kick tenants out. So when it's time for me to have a tenant leave, I really go up to them, not with force, not with brutality, and I say, you know what? You don't owe me anything anymore. Just leave. Do you know how many relationships we would save if we stop holding on to the past or what you feel someone owes you? Yeah. Woo. So let's transition that into submission. Black women don't owe us submission or servitude, or do they?
I think that I believe that Black women owe their relationship, the mission and the vision of their relationship, submission, when the seeds in that garden have been properly sown. So more specifically, what I mean is, I really believe that if I, as a man, want my woman to submit, I need to work diligently on planting seeds of trust within the relationship. And if I don't plant seeds of trust in the relationship, I cannot expect my woman to want to follow me. She may do it, but she's likely going to do it begrudgingly. Now, I'm fortunate. As a single Black man, I am fortunate, and I know it. I attract women who naturally come alongside of me and submit to my leadership, very naturally. And not every Black woman is like that. However, even with those relationships, I have found that I had to do some work. I had to sow some seeds in the love garden. I talk about this in the book. I had to cultivate a garden, a space for trust to be built as the rock, as the foundation that you mentioned earlier. And when I did that, I found that over time, she came around more and more. Another one of the things that I wanted to touch on when we talk about this idea of submission is the notion of trauma. One of the reasons why we're having this issue in our community is because we are having an issue with undealt with and unresolved trauma. If you're going to create the healthy relationship that you desire to long-term, it's going to be vital that you make every effort to deal with the past trauma of past relationships and past disappointments and past hurts, from your brothers to your cousins to your fathers to the neighbor down the street. And when we do that, when we deal with the hurt and the trauma, it creates a space where our relationships can thrive in powerful ways. And when that man is planting those seeds of trust and healthy relationship with you, it can cause that garden to flourish in a powerful way. And so I think that that's the issue when it comes to submission, is there is possible, and women owe it not necessarily to us, but to the relationship, because we're both planting seeds in a relationship to create a beautiful garden for our children in our community to thrive in.
You know, it's funny. I heard people, I'm reading the chat, and people said that she only did that because it was serving her. She served him because it was serving her. Is there a necessary sense of reciprocity that comes with submission?
So she only did it because it was serving her. I understand that perspective, but I don't 100% agree. I think that she did it not only.
I decided to take my son's father off of child support because.
Sorry for that.
You good, you good. So I think that she did it not only because it was serving her, which I'm sure it does because it created a harmony or a peace between her and her co-parent, but I think that she also did it because children have an innate ability to pick up on the climate of their parents' relationship. And so either she knowingly or unknowingly made this decision that was ultimately going to empower her to be in a space and create an environment where her child could grow up in a healthy, more conducive co-parent environment. And so I don't think it was only because it was serving her. I think that she did it because it was also helpful in serving her child. And I think that that's important. But one of the things I want to be cautious about is something that is becoming increasingly more common in recent data and information is supporting that as a generation, those of us that are 40 and younger are creating a space and an environment for more transactional than relational relationships.
Wow.
Transactional than relationship, which means if you do this, then I do this. If you lead well, then I'll submit well. If you pay the bills and protect, I'm walking heavy tonight, bro.
Yeah. You kind of. I feel like you're talking about me because I'm 42 now. So because I actually told someone I really care for that. You have to give me certainty if you want stability, and it's transactional, right? Because I feel like I don't have time to make a lifelong decision based off of a year or two without putting you to the test.
Here's the trouble with what you just said, and here's the trouble with transactional relationship. If the relationship is built on transaction alone, it gives no room and it leaves no space for the possibility and the likelihood that over the course of many years, those transactions will shift and change.
Right.
So what I mean when I say that is, if I show up in the relationship in one season and I'm holding down all the bills, I'm paying all the bills. I'm a six-figure, high value, high quality Black man. I'm holding it down. But for one reason or another, my income changes. A transactional relationship at its foundation puts the potential for that relationship to thrive at risk.
Whoa.
It doesn't mean that the relationship won't work. It doesn't mean that my counterpart, my woman, won't show up, step up, and handle business. But it means that because it was founded in transaction, it makes her mindset and her attitude towards it much different.
Right.
And so if we're going to build healthy relationship long-term, and this is what my experience has taught me in working with couples and talking with couples, those of you who are just jumping in, my name is Olamont Roberson. I'm a trained mental health professional, and Black love and relationship is my heart, it's my passion, it's the work that I desire to do. I'm a thought leader when it comes to Black love and relationship. Shout out to all the people that are in the room. Thank you all so much for pulling up and joining the conversation. My experience has taught me if we're going to do it long-term, and in talking with couples, it is couples that find that unique balance, but put more intention and more focus on relationship than they do on transaction.
Right.
Because when we build healthy relationship, the transactions will naturally come. I described it to you earlier. When we build healthy relationship, one of the core pillars of healthy relationship is trust. So if we build healthy relationship, that reciprocity, that cycle of submitting and following comes very naturally. But if we haven't built healthy relationship and we demand the transaction of I say something and you do it, then we put ourselves in a place where the relationship is built solely on transactions. And if the transactions for one reason or another can no longer occur, the relationship begins to crumble. And that's why in this time, in this day and age, in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen some real challenges in love and relationship is because we've become more transactional.
All right, let's talk about Skis It's Yours said, can we discuss forced fathers and regretful mothers? Can we discuss that?
I'm happy to talk about it. I need the listener or the participant to open that up a little bit more. When you say forced fathers and regretful mothers, what do we mean?
Well, I think he's coming from a place where having unwanted pregnancies and children, right? Untimely. I wouldn't say unwanted, but untimely pregnancies and childbirth. So you have the thing where men who are forced to step into the roles when they clearly told the woman, I don't want to have a child with you, right? And then you have women who years later said, I love my child. It's the best blessing that ever happened to me. But my life trajectory could have been different if I didn't have a child by this man. Can you talk about that and its relation to submission and servitude?
So when we talk about submission and servitude with regards to forced fathering or forced parenting and regretful mothering or regretful parenting, I have to be honest. At my core, my knee-jerk reaction to that, my knee-jerk response to that is we have to learn how to accept responsibilities for our actions.
Right.
And I think that forced parenting is only a thing because someone made a poor decision with their body and a person that they're in relationship with.
Oof.
And candidly, if I'm gonna keep it a buck, if I'm keeping it 100,
please,
your problem.
Wait, say that again?
I said, if I'm keeping it 100, if I'm keeping it a buck, that's your problem.
Wow.
Because when you make wise decisions about the people that you lay down with and you protect yourself properly, you significantly decrease the chances of forced parenting or forced fathering.
Wow.
That's just real. You know, and at some point, and one of the things I notice about millennials, those of us who are 35 and younger, is we like to put new jingles and titles on stuff. You know, and so it sounds real cute. Forced fathering, like it's an alliteration. It's forced and fathering, and it's back to back. You know, it sounds real good, but at the end of the day, if you're not trying to have no kids, the greatest birth control was abstinence, black man.
Ooh.
If you're not trying to have no kids, that means you need to go in strapped up. And you need to have clear, honest conversations with the woman that you're laying down with about her being on birth control as well.
Right.
And keeping in mind that even with all the birth control in the world, there is still a slight chance that one of them swimmers going to be a mighty, mighty swimmer. I'm just saying what I'm saying. One of them swimmers just, you know, and to all my brothers that's in the audience, all my brothers that's listening, you know, if you the master plumber, you laying the pipe the way you lay the pipe, listen, what can you expect?
Right.
How can you expect it to go any differently? You know, some of my brothers like to really pat themselves on the back because of the way they lay the pipe, and more power to them. You know, if you like to, you know, put your business on Front Street, that's your business. Right. But if you are as good at it as you say you are, the consequences of intercourse is reproduction.
Right.
So you can't be so good at the stroke and not expect a baby.
Hello.
You can't do it. So, you know, that's my heartfelt response to it. Also to my ladies, you know, I'm a little bit more compassionate to the queens, but my thoughts and my sentiments are still the same, which is if a woman is experiencing regret because of a decision that she made early in her life, and now she has children that are young children, or she is having children that are, you know, getting older, and she sees that her life could have been differently. My heart goes out to her. I can understand why that might be a challenge, but we all make decisions in life. We all make decisions in life. And it is really important that if we're going to break this cycle, it's important that we have these good, hard, difficult conversations, and that we, more importantly, sow into the next generation these kinds of conversations. One of the reasons why we have this issue in our community is because we have not had some very thorough, candid, honest conversations.
Right.
Bro, I'm gonna put myself out there, right? I'm gonna be transparent for 2 minutes and then I'm gonna yield back so you can talk.
Right.
I'm 34 years old.
Right.
I've never had a conversation with my parents about sex.
I believe that. I'm like that. I believe that.
I figured this joint out on my own. I got a little boy, so I figured something. I did something right.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, how, Sway?
Right.
You know, there comes a point when we have to have real conversations with the people in our community, in our age group, and the younger generation to say, hey, listen, these are my wounds. Let me show you my scars. You see this? You see these nails? Yeah. You see these knots on my hand? You see these scars?
Right.
And we're not having those conversations. So we have to deal with forced fathering and regretful mothering or regretful parenting. because there isn't enough of that conversation. And the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, and I know some of my parents are on the fence about this, but I think that I am pro birth control for young people. And so if you know, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one.
You're gonna get in trouble for
this. Your daughter is out here thotting and bopping.
Bopping.
If you know she out here in these streets,
right,
you need to get her on birth control.
Fact.
That's just my opinion. That's just my. Of course, there are many health concerns related to that, and I'm not ignorant to that truth and ignorant to that fact. So I respect the decision of moms who choose not to do that. However, every decision comes with consequences.
Right.
And so if we're saying I'm not going to get my 13, 14, 15-year-old daughter who I know is having sex, I'm not going to get her birth control, then we are positioning ourselves as a community to continue to go in this cycle.
Right.
And this is a cycle of broken relationships, broken families, poverty, lack of wealth in our community, and ultimately lack of mental health. Our sanity is in trash because we have a number of things that are fighting against us. And some of that is our own decision making. I'm not overlooking the systems of the world that we live in and the various systems that are in place to keep us this way. But some of it is our fault as well.
All right, we're gonna turn it up a little bit. Conversations with Kings is known for solution-based conversations. We have identified the problems within our community, particularly the Black woman and the Black man. But we do invite our Asian brothers, our white brothers, our Native American brothers, our Latino brothers. Except for if you're a 50-year-old Puerto Rican, we're not inviting you. I'm just saying. But I'm sorry, I had to throw a little jab. But at the end of the day, we want to get to the solution, right? And here's the solution. Here's. I want to ask you a question. We have lost the respect of Black women, and it happened to me too. Even on this show, right? I lost the respect for every which reason, however they feel about me. How do you gain the submission back from a woman that you lost the love, respect, or trust from?
Powerful question.
Because now I have a baby with this lady, or I'm in a relationship with this lady, and I don't want to divorce her. She clearly is not respecting me. She clearly doesn't trust me, but I want to regain her servitude or her submission. You identify submission, you kind of identify servitude and serving, right? How do we regain it as Black men, as a boyfriend, husband, and as a community? Three folds. Boyfriend, husband, community. So it's three different solutions I want you to present, if you don't mind. Boyfriend, husband, community.
So first, let me just start by saying this. I have a somewhat of a transformational, I believe, philosophy around love and relationship that I think is vital, that we're overlooking. And that is, I really believe that there is a subtopic or a branch, if you will, in the tree of life and love that we're overlooking that has to be acknowledged. And that is that the reality that love and relationship will come with a branch or a facet or a subtopic of suffering. Love and relationship comes with a branch of suffering.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna give it
suffering. Are you referring to duty within marriage, or what do you mean? Because marriage is supposed to be fun. I want to marry. I'm not married, never been, but I want it to be blissful.
Let me wake it up.
Okay.
So what I mean when I say suffering is there is an element of denial of oneself and frustration and disappointment that comes in the growing process of relationship. And that feels like suffering. When you don't get your way, in a way, you're suffering. If you have a need and you don't get that need met, you are suffering. And in healthy relationship, there are seasons where one party or both parties go through some level of suffering.
Right.
And I say that because if we can begin to wrap our minds around the fact that when I'm going into this relationship, there's going to be some level of frustration, disappointment, and letdown, suffering. If we can wrap our minds in going into it, it transforms how we approach relationship.
Right.
And there's data to support this. If you look at the data, you'll discover that unfortunately, men and women are getting in relationships, and it is actually the women, Black women, who are divorcing their male counterparts.
Right.
The data helps us to learn that one of the overarching thoughts or mindsets behind this divorce phenomena that we're seeing is the women are divorcing their partners because of a unrealistic, idealistic perspective about it. They're going into a relationship with an optimistic idea about it, where their male counterparts are coming into the relationship with the notion, the idea, and the understanding this is about to be hard. This is about to be tough. And when they do that, they are more prepared to lean into the discomfort, lean into the suffering. Whereas their female counterparts are like, whoa, 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 this is not what I signed up for.
Right.
And so I'm bringing that to light in this conversation because if we want to deal with regaining the trust in relationship for the boyfriend, the husband, and the community, we first need to deal with the various aspects that are important about love and relationship. And one of those things is suffering, which means if you're going to regain the trust, you need to understand that there's going to be moments where you're let down.
Wow.
And vice versa. If she's going to give her trust back to you, she has to come in with the mindset, I'm going to be disappointed, but that's okay. She has to come into the relationship with the mindset that suffering is going to occur. Two people have to understand that suffering is going to occur. This is not, the Princess and the Pea, Robin Hood. I can't think of another love story off the top of my head, but this is not a Disney movie. This is real life. And in real life, there is disappointment, there is frustration, and there is suffering that happens in relationship. And we're not talking about it. That's part of the problem. So if we're going to regain the trust, if I as a man am going to regain the trust that I've lost, I'm going to have to understand that there's some level of suffering that's going to occur. What does that mean? That may mean that she is a little withholding with intimacy or sex when I want it. Keeping in mind that I did something that helped destroy the structure or foundation of the relationship and impacted the trust. So I might have to suffer for a while. Okay. Keeping in mind that, the foundation of our relationship, the core, one of the cores has been damaged if infidelity or cheating has occurred. Even though we know Black men don't cheat. We know that. My fault. You know what I'm saying.
Okay, I cheat. I used to cheat. I don't cheat anymore because I'm not in a relationship. All right.
So what I'm saying is, if we're going to regain that trust, I'm answering your question now. You asked a question. If we're going to regain trust that we've lost in our partner, both persons are going to have to show up with a mindset that understands that there's an element of suffering that goes into relationship.
Yes.
And if we are going to rebuild that trust over time, we need to, one, seek out outside help, seek out a trained professional, especially if this is someone that we are in a marriage with or have been in a lasting relationship with. We need to seek out an outside support system. I could go deeper into that, and I'm resisting the urge to do that. But what I'll say very quickly is we need to approach love and relationship the way Black women approach their bodies. They go to get a physical every year. They get a pap smear every 6 months. They go to the dentist every 6 to 8 months. They go to the eye doctor every 6 months. They go to the China lady to get their feet cleaned every 2 or 3 weeks. They get their nails done every 2 or 3 weeks. We need to approach love and relationship the same way we approach our medical health.
Right.
And when we do that, we invite a trained professional to the conversation to help us deal with some of the dysfunction that we read about earlier.
Right. Okay, before you go on, I'm getting a lot of pushback from the ladies. Farida says, so we just have to take it. And then the men are saying, my wife's best quality is her ability to forgive. So can you elaborate? Because a lot of women say, why do we have to take that? Right? Because they didn't hear the part that men have to take it too. But I want us to address that because she has a point. Why do they have to tolerate that? And they said that you're not painting marriage as an ideal picture.
Matt, okay, I love it. I love it. Yes, thank you for the feedback. Okay, so number one, let me talk to Willina Lee. Miss Lee, in my opinion, marriage is, in our culture and society, made more ideal than it actually is. I believe healthy relationship that molds us and shapes us, that smooths out the rough places of who we are as people and helps us to show up as better people every day. That relationship is relationship that is difficult in molding and making us. You know, I said earlier, I'm a man of faith. I really believe that the scriptures are true. When a man and a woman join together, they become one flesh. I believe that process to becoming one flesh is a molding and a making and a shifting process. So if you've ever seen clay or Play-Doh, how that couple becomes one beautiful vase or one beautiful flower or whatever thing you believe it was designed to be, there's a molding process. There's a breaking process that occurs. And so that's my perspective on that. It may not be the more beautiful picture initially in the beginning, but I believe over time, if two people are willing to lean into the discomfort, lean into the molding and making process, they ultimately will become smoothed out and be the beautiful vessel that our Creator designed and intended our relationship to be. The second one is you just got to take it. Thank you for your thoughts, Farida. I'm not saying that people should stay in unhealthy and toxic relationships. What I am saying is there is a level of toxicity that each of us brings to a relationship that we have to figure out how to navigate.
Right.
And if we can do that in a way that is more helpful than harmful, we should stay. If we cannot do that in a way that is more helpful than harmful, then we should leave. Right. And only two people in relationship can decide that.
Can you give us an example?
Okay. So my favorite example is the one that I kind of hinted at just a little bit.
Right.
When we talk about the topic of cheating, I have met countless couples who have walked away after cheating.
Wow.
But I have also met many couples who chose to stay.
Wow.
Many couples. And what I've discovered in talking with the couples who chose to stay is it was their willingness to lean into the discomfort of their suffering in the moment and invite healthy people to the conversation about how and why it happened. And their willingness to be humble about the part that they played in the breakdown of the relationship.
Wow.
It was those couples that really began to get over this really difficult thing and have the relationship that they truly desire a long term. And so when I say if it's more helpful to stay, I mean, two people really have to sit down, decide what their mission is, decide what their vision is for their relationship, and decide if the toxicity level that they're experiencing isn't something that they can overcome. If it is something that they can overcome, lean into it. If it's cheating in their relationship, but you know you have a solid relationship,
right,
seek outside help, do the work, and build the lasting relationship that you desire. I'm not saying stay in something that's abusive. I'm saying stay in something that you know you have invested healthy time and energy in, and both parties are willing to do the work.
Okay. Terry says marriage is most intricate and challenging work that you have to work continuously to become one unit, in my view.
I agree. I completely agree with Terry. And I think that people who go into a relationship with Terry's mindset are people who oftentimes position themselves for that 30, that 40-year marriage. They old people pushing they gonna walk us down the Walmart's halls together. You know, and I think that couples who have a difficulty with that perspective or don't understand the full depth of that perspective are couples who are oftentimes looking to walk away, looking to jump ship.
Right. Once again, boyfriend, husband, community, boyfriend, the difference between, does it change, the level of submission change between boyfriend and husband?
In my opinion, it does.
And why?
The reason why is because culturally, if you are, it depends on the couple. That's what I'll say to start. It depends on the couple. If you are two people who believe in the union and the covenant of marriage, then it definitely does. This is why choosing the right person is so important. Because if you're dating somebody who doesn't believe in marriage or the power and the importance of covenant in marriage, then already he or she is not going to agree with how submission shows up in boyfriend stage and how it shows up in husband stage.
Right.
But if the person you're getting to know agrees that there is something more powerful, more finite, more valuable in a marriage and covenant, then they're going to understand how the level of submission that shows up in boyfriend stage is different from the level of submission that shows up in husband stage.
Right.
And I think that two people have to figure out for themselves what exactly that looks like. For one woman, that may mean she's not washing your laundry. She might cook you something to eat every once in a while, but that's not an obligation.
Right.
For another woman, the laundry, cooking, is no big deal to her.
Right.
So what that level of submission looks like, it varies from one person to the next. But in my opinion, there most certainly is a different level of submission that shows up in marriage than it does in the boyfriend, girlfriend, dating relationship phase. It doesn't mean that two people shouldn't be trying to discern whether or not the capacity for the marriage kind of submission is possible. But it certainly means that there is a different. I think that, when you get married, the consequences of getting married are higher. Right. So then how two people show up and the quality of their relationship should also be higher, which means that submission should look different in the confines of marriage.
So, okay. So does the level of submission for a woman directly proportional to security of that woman?
When you ask the question that way, it puts us in a transactional mindset.
I know, but you know me, man. That's how
I just want to honor that. I'm cool with it. I just want to honor that.
I know you want out of it, so help me get out of it. But I'm thinking, because I learned that from women. How can you expect me to submit to you, but you're not taking care of me?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so here's what I'll say again. The challenge with the transactional model is it is often very solely dependent upon how two people show up for a certain season or a certain time, which means the question then becomes to that woman who says that, if that man for some reason or another can no longer provide for you the way he did in the beginning, you will stop submitting to him. That if that's true, for me, there's something problematic about that.
Yes.
Because if we are to agree to the traditional model of marriage and relationship where the man is the CEO, he is the chief and final decision maker in the relationship, and where he leads, the two of you follow, if that's the model we're agreeing to, then his ability to protect and provide for you should not be determined by that.
Right.
Because his ability to protect and provide is circumstantial.
Whoa.
It's circumstantial because we live in a culture and society that shifts very drastically.
Right.
3 years ago, we would have never, ever in our lives thought that we had a pandemic that forced all of us to go in our house and not talk to nobody.
That's a fact.
And we lost millions of dollars.
Right.
So with that being said, for me, that transactional model of my willingness to submit is based off of whether or not he provides is problematic for that reason. Is that to say that there shouldn't be some level of performance that she sees in her relationship with him that allows her to know whether or not she could submit is important. I think it's important. You should know whether or not that man can provide for you. And that should give you some indicator of whether or not you're able to submit. But I would submit to my sisters tonight that I want to shift the conversation around that in a way that I think is really helpful and powerful. And that is to say this. It is more important for you to discern the kind of leader your man is than his ability to provide for you.
Oof.
Because you can have a great provider who's still a bad leader.
You know what? And you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. That was my issue for years, right? I could take care of a woman. I could romance a woman, but I couldn't lead her or empower her to become a better woman, right? There's a lot of men that can give you stuff, but can they uplift you? And it took me a while to learn the difference. I want you to talk about that. Go into that, brother, please.
So here's how I'm gonna tackle that. I'm gonna tackle it by saying this. And shout out to our amazing followers, the people that's coming in the room, that have been in the room. My name is Olamont Roberson. I'm hanging out with my guy, the one, the only, the conversation king himself. Hanging out with King, and we're really talking about love and relationship and this idea of submission. So if you haven't already done so, I want to invite you, click subscribe to my man's channel, jump in, become a part of the kingdom, become a part of the conversation. And if you're looking to reach me, you can reach me at OLSPEAKS on Instagram. And also, I shared a link to my book in the comments, so please feel free to get a copy of the book if you desire a copy of the book. I am not married, Sugar Mom. Here's how
she's a troublemaker, but she's a good person.
Cool. I'm excited to be a part of the conversation, and thank you for asking the question. Here's how I want to really tackle this question. When in the dating experience, it is really important for our sisters to discern the leadership style of the person that they are in relationship with.
Right.
Not every man's leadership is a style, and not every man's leadership style is going to suit your personality. And so if you are not careful and mindful and discerning about the leadership style of the person you're getting to know, you're going to find yourself in a relationship with someone who's a great provider.
You just saved a lot of fucking women's time and lives. Check this out, ladies. He really said, fuck what he's providing or how he's protecting. See if his leadership style is aligned with your lifestyle.
Your lifestyle, and I would add personality. Your lifestyle and personality.
And personality. Like, that is crazy, because you see these men who are providers and protectors, but their leadership style is not aligned with that woman's personality or quality of life. And that's why they always have these combative incidents.
Absolutely. Wow. It transformed my mind, bro. When I started to think about my dating experience in recent years, I began to understand that I've met some amazing women. And it was really centered around this conversation that's a whole nother rabbit hole for a different conversation. But it was centered around the idea of the alpha male. And in our community, we hold to the highest esteem, the alpha male. But as I began to do research and learn more about myself, I discovered I'm not an alpha male.
Oh.
So I had to really sit with that and process that and take some looks in the mirror like, okay, so if you're not an alpha male, who are you? What does that mean? But what I discovered is that there are several different personality types. There's the alpha male, there's the sigma male, there's the beta male, there's the omega male, and so on and so forth. And each of those males also has different leadership styles. So when a woman meets a man, well, first of all, when she gets beyond this idea that the alpha man is the man that she has to have, because the alpha man has a lot of issues of his own, just like every other male character personality. Yeah. When she figures out what personality type she likes and then starts to discern his leadership style, it changes the game on how she can expect and what she can expect from him in relationship. And I learned that in my own dating experience, because I started messing with a woman and I started to really think about how she was showing up in relationship with me and how we were getting to know each other. And I had issues with the way she was treating me and talking to me. And I discovered that it was my leadership style that just didn't sit well for her.
Right. You know,
let me say this. I would go on to say, I really believe women today, 40 and younger, modern women or modern women with traditional aspects or traditional women with hybrid model tendencies, however you want to put it, I really believe they do not want the traditional leadership style in their loving relationship. They don't want to submit. Black women today don't want to submit.
They don't.
They want to collaborate.
Is that wrong?
Not in my opinion.
Right.
It's not, but what we have to establish is what works well for the man that they're getting to know. Because I'm not going to date every woman. You know, I'm only going to date the woman that I believe is for me. So there's nothing wrong with the woman who wants a collaborative leader as opposed to an authoritative leader, but she has to figure that out and decide that for herself. And there's a process to do that, but you can do that in the dating experience early on and prevent yourself a lot of heartache and headache long term.
Right. Natalie, I Port a Princess, where she's from Haiti. She says Sigmas are better. That's what she said.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So You know, it's funny because someone said, I believe it was Skis. He's been on a road today. So he said, does attraction play a role in submission, right? And I like that question because I have a lot of girls, I'll be honest with you. Not currently, but I have a lot of females in my life that basically I'm not their preference physically. Allegedly, that's what they say, right? Allegedly, right? But because of my swag or because of the way I carry myself and and the things that I accomplish, right? And how I make them feel, they're attracted to me. But if I was their type physically, right, would that play a role in submission?
Mm-hmm. I want to answer that question. Before I answer that question, I'm gonna respond to Sugar Bum. And here's what I'm gonna say. She didn't agree with me. I said black women don't want to submit; they want to collaborate. Right. When, in my opinion, the reason why I say that, you probably will discover that you and I agree, Sugar Bum, and that is when we collaborate, it reinforces my respect for you. When you submit to me, it suggests to you that it doesn't matter what I said. We're gonna do what I said.
Right.
The way I said it. But if I say, come on, baby, let's collaborate. What do you think about this? What are your opinions about this? Should we handle it this way or should we handle it that way? These are some reasons why I think we should handle it this way. And then she said, these are some reasons why I think we should handle it this way. It allows her the ability to feel respected. But the more traditional model, the authoritative model, the model, the authoritative model that says we're gonna do what I said, in my opinion, the reason why women have such a hard time with it is because they immediately think that what I'm gonna say and what I think doesn't matter.
Wow.
Someone in the comments said short-term submission. I don't necessarily agree with that. Someone said short-term submission. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe when you collaborate with people, they're enlisted because they've had input. When people have input in the outcome, they're more invested.
Right. Oh yeah, you have to give people, like, I'm a consultant, right? You know, people don't believe that, right? But when I have my clients or when I go to certain places, or I represent my organization that my father built, because we do promote generational wealth and legacy over here. That's what we do over here. That's what the wealthy people do over here. If you haven't been to luxury, don't ever come to luxury because you wouldn't understand luxury, right? So what happens is, when you have to give ownership to vision, if people do not get it, subscribe to your vision or feel like they have ownership of it, they're not going to submit to you.
Exactly.
So now that leads into the question, which is a bridge to the question. Shout out to Crystal Costa. You definitely got to come on the show. She's a BC alum and a health professional. I mean, a work professional. And really good at what she does. And I don't want to say where she works at because we don't want to dox her, but hopefully she comes in and she has a strong voice within the Latin community. It's very important, or how important is it for a man to disclose his vision? And does that help with the submission of a woman?
Okay, so before we tackle that question, you asked a question before that had to do with submission and attraction.
Yes, attraction. Then we're gonna get to the vision, please.
Yeah. Don't forget that second question because it's a good one. So I think the real honest, candid answer is yes. I think that we are more pliable and flexible with people that we like for one reason or another. It could be their personality, and it could be their physical makeup that we like. But when we like people, we're more compromising with them. We're more agreeable with them. If we think you ugly, unfortunately,
right,
we ain't trying to submit to nobody we think is ugly. And that could be physically ugly, or that could be their personality and their character that's ugly.
Right.
But if we think somebody ugly, nah, we ain't following nobody that's ugly.
Right.
My experiences taught me in love and relationship, my experiences taught me that when couples feel like they've chosen someone that they are attracted to, it makes the relationship more harmonious for a bunch of different reasons, but one of which is because they're more inclined to say, all right, because you're cute or whatever, or because you're funny or whatever, or because you lay that pipe the way you lay that pipe or whatever, all right, fine. When we like people for one reason or another, we're more compromising with them.
Okay. So you're not just talking about physical attraction, you're talking about a holistic approach to attraction.
I'm not just talking about physical attraction. I think it's true of physical attraction.
Right.
But I think that it's also true in a number of other areas. You can have, you could be and I'm cautious about using numbers to describe people's beauty or whatever, but here we go. You could be an 8 in terms of your looks, but have a 10 personality.
Right.
Because that person really likes your personality, even though you might not be physically what they lean towards most of the time, because you got a really dope personality.
Right.
It might be more compromising in the relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's easier for women do it better than men because we're visual creatures, right? So I can't do that, all right? I can't. But I know women can do that, right? They could be like, you know what? He does other things, so he's an 8, he's not a 9, but I'm fucking with him. Yeah. All right. Vision.
Somebody said 8 is good. 8 is good. I think the important thing to think about in something I just said in answering that question is we all have to remember that looks are temporary.
Facto.
Looks are temporary. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is when you first meet her. What used to sit up is going to slowly start to fall down.
That's true, but I'm not going to front. The woman I've been meeting lately, they look better every day.
I think one of the graces that we have as Black and brown people is we just get better with time, baby.
Right. So the woman, all the women I've been meeting recently, they look better every day, and I know they have their their issues, their insecurities, their blemishes, but I judge beauty based on look how you look throughout all these years and look how you kept together. Or maybe I could be a little bit distorted because I'm comparing them to a society where there's obesity is at an all-time high. Maybe they look normal and I'm thinking they look beautiful.
I think that both are quite possible. What you first started talking about, I was going to speak to, and that is your mindset around what beauty is. And I think that the older Black men get, those who are evolved Black men, right. The older we get, the more our perspective of what beauty looks like changes.
Right.
But that isn't to say that, the culture and society in which we live doesn't have some part in that. And with that being said, if we're talking about weight and obesity, we can become more accepting of what has become more normal over time because it's what we're most familiar with and accustomed to.
Right.
But I will say, even for those men, a lot of times one of the challenges that those men report in relationship is she let herself go. She gained weight over time. And so for not every man that is an evolved man is that okay for. If we're talking about weight and obesity of women changing over time. Not every man is okay with that. And some men report that's one of the reasons why they cheat. I don't necessarily support that, but it's a reason that many men report. Now, I want to jump to the other question you said, which was vision. Throw me that question again, bro.
How important is it for a man to give his lady ownership of his vision and submission?
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. Number one, in my opinion, sharing your vision does not relinquish ownership of it. Sharing your vision does not relinquish ownership of it.
I agree.
The vision that the Creator gave you is the vision that you have, which means that it is extremely unlikely that anyone else on the planet is going to be able to execute that vision the way you got it and the way you will.
Right.
So with that truth, if we understand that when you share your vision, you're not relinquishing any power.
Right.
What you're doing is you are creating a space to allow two things to happen. The first thing is you're creating a space to allow you to get a good assessment of how that woman is going to internalize your vision and has the ability to add value to that vision. If you are properly assessing, you share your vision and then watch how she moves. If she is a evolved woman, she's going to be doing things and inviting you to ideas and asking you questions that add value to your vision. And you know what's crazy?
Damn, I don't want to give my personal life out here. I tell women I tell the woman that I adore, who I care about my legacy and about the projects I'm about to embark on, and the difficult decisions I'm going to have to make in upcoming weeks. And I watch closely to see who is, like you said, trying to be a part of that. And it's scary because you have people that provide that emotional support. Then you got people that really provide that structure and the administrative stuff that you might need, that you might be lacking, right? And they're both necessary, right? But you really gauge a woman about who really is, for me, I don't want to throw my business out there, but you have one that you can I could walk around my community and they could be amongst the people and check the temperature. Then I have one that could be behind that could be with me doing the numbers, the contracts, right? And they're both important. And it's like a decision for me right now, right? And maybe they made the decision already about me already. They probably made the decision. They probably don't. None of them probably want me, right? But in my mind, it's like you said, I'm gauging who is adding on to the vision, who's going to expand it, right? And it leaves me at a very weird situation where it's like I need to focus on me more, so I'm not dependent on if they are part of this vision or not, because it makes they become more of a crutch, and I don't want that. If you get what I'm saying, like you help me out. This is free consultation, so I'm taking it. I get it, because he charges a lot. He ain't inexpensive. I tell you that now. He's not inexpensive, but explain to me, like, please.
So I think that men, while women face a unique challenge of finding the balance between how much submission to provide and present in the dating phase versus the marriage phase, I think that a man who is a high quality man, one of the challenges he faces is when to share his vision,
right,
who to share his vision with, right, how much of his vision to disclose. Right. And so my encouragement to any brother who's trying to sort that out is, number one, is to be very prayerful, because some things the Creator gives us in our time of meditation and our alone time that are especially between He and I.
Yes.
And they're not designed to be shared.
Yes.
There are other things that we can share, and we can share only portions of the vision to see how the other person might show up. And that would be my encouragement. Share enough of a vision or enough of the vision to get an assessment of how that person might show up, but never to the extent that you become reliant on them. And the reason why that's important is because you want to build an ecosystem or a garden that is fully sufficient on its own, regardless of whether or not that person shows up, because that makes the relationship transactional, or regardless of whether or not that person is consistent, right, in the love garden. So when
there's the woman. I'm talking about me now. Fuck that. I need this. People. Does the woman have?
My man said, y'all just here watching now. I'm getting my therapy and consultation.
Right. Because I had my therapy session from my therapist this morning. I do it 12 o'clock every Monday. And it was really good. It was really, really good. I learned a lot about myself and how I handle things. But you are helping me in regards to relationships. So here's the thing. I'm starting to believe that the woman I always wanted a woman to be integrated within my vision and my family legacy for me to build. But I'm starting to believe that the woman I'm going to be with is a woman that helps me get away from that. Get away from, like, she's my escape from my temporary escape or a recess from my burden of carrying my legacy, right?
That's powerful.
So I don't know who to go to. Do I go to the escape, or do I go to the person that provides support? And I think they're both good, right? Basically the question is, do you necessarily have to have your partner be a part of your mission, your purpose to have a successful relationship. Because if you look at Steve Harvey, I don't think his wife writes the jokes or does anything, but you can see he has this happiness and this peace with his wife, because that's when he goes home, he doesn't want to think about anything. He just wants to be with his wife, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think you asked a powerful question. My encouragement would be to consider two things, and that is to, one, figure out what's most important to you. Let's figure out what's most important to you. And the reason why that's important is because for different men, that value level, that importance is different. For some men, they want the kind of relationship where they are business partnered with someone in the intricate details.
Yeah.
For other men, they want someone who can show up, who has the business acumen, the intellectual ability, and the verbal ability to effectively articulate her thoughts and ideas in such a way that she can show up in a moment and do it, but she doesn't have to be a part of it all the time.
Right.
And my hope, my heart's desire, and I think that this would be a good fit for you, is to choose the kind of woman who has the ability to do both, but ultimately lands in the safe haven, home away from home, tranquil garden, peaceful place, and not necessarily the person that shows up with me all the time in the boardroom meeting and is a part of the intricate detail.
Okay.
And I think the reason why that is because I think that when you, if not careful, a woman who is always a part of the intricate details, the business facets of work, if not careful, she can fall into a masculine energy, and that masculine energy show up at home. But if she is someone who primarily dwells in a space that is the more tranquil, more nurturing mindset, but she has the ability to show up at the boardroom, and God forbid if something happened to you, when we do that, if we choose that partner, or we cultivate that kind of partner, because the truth of the matter is not every woman, flows in that type of space. But I believe that women, especially Black women, are so teachable that if you work with them and you're patient with them and you express to them your needs and how they show up, she can learn. And so I think if she's that tranquil place, it allows you to have your peaceful place and you deal with the challenges. And if she can do both, show up in the boardroom when necessary, God forbid if something happened to you, you know that you're good. You know you're safe.
Right. How do we make submission sexy again as Black men?
How do we make submission sexy again? I think the first thing we do is we tackle the negative connotations that come with submission. We have to address the negative connotation. And the negative connotation is what I said earlier. It is this notion that what I said goes, and I have the final say about everything that goes on in our life and in our world. The second thing we have to do is we have to become more intentional and strategic about cultivating a healthy garden where we as men sow seeds that build a healthy foundation for trust to evolve and grow. Because when a woman trusts you, you automatically sexy. You could be the ugliest man in the room.
Right.
But if she trusts you, she'll be like, oh, what's something sexy about him?
Right.
My man looked like Bubba Gump and the Nutty Professor put together.
Right.
But if she trusts him, it's something sexy about him. Women love a man whose word she can depend on and stand on.
Can we give a pause right now, because I got somebody from the garden that says something kind of dope, and I want you to break it down. It's basically like the boyfriend husband community, but she's saying like you expected a friend, a girlfriend, or your wife is not going to give the same response to what you're talking about, King. Can you break that down before you go continue?
I think I agree with what Amaya said, and I think that there's truth to that. I think that is absolutely true. How a woman shows up in the relationship as a friend, a girlfriend, and a wife is different. We said that earlier, and I think that we build the stages of that, the healthy foundation of that. When we found our relationship in a friendship, healthy relationship is built in a friendship, and that friendship is only healthy if trust is a part of it. Which is why that's, for me, what makes it sexy is when we start with the friendship and we add trust as an important ingredient, we found a relationship that can grow and evolve into something beautiful. And if that relationship reaches the next level, if they go from friend to girlfriend, then that trust is carried along. And as a result, that woman shows up in a way that is increasingly more and more open to submission in a powerful way. So when you get to the husband stage, ideally, unless, she switch it up on you, ideally, by the time you get to the husband stage, you've already founded a relationship in friendship, which includes trust. And so how she shows up is more willing to come alongside of you. And I would be remiss if I didn't say what I said earlier, which is I think that women today in 2022, they don't want to submit. Black women don't want to submit. They want to collaborate. I know they don't like when I say that, but I still love you, Queen. I love you. I got nothing but love for you, baby. At the end of the day, Black women today, in my opinion, they don't want to submit. They want to collaborate. And that's okay.
Chris, the biggest rock in the room, says, what does the transition, when does the transition happen? The moment you put on the ring?
Great question, Chris. So in my opinion, I think that at every stage of relationship, new things should come about. New things should evolve and develop in the relationship.
Right.
And that's the problem with relationships that, that are set up quite differently from that process, friendship, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage. Right. So I think that transition should happen when the two people can agree on it together. There should be no surprises.
No.
There should always be a healthy wave of communication that allows that couple to move from one stage to the next stage in relationship and transition in a way that is positive. And when we put a ring on it, Chris, in my opinion, we've reached the mecca of relationship. This is the part that we worked hard for, because it's the part in the relationship that should have the most benefits.
Right. Let me be honest with you. Farida said they don't trust men. This might be in his book. I don't want to say it's in his book or not. You got to go and get it. This might be on his up and coming shows on his channel, or it might be something that he might reveal to you if you reach out to him. Can you give us? I know I'm asking for too much because you charge for this. Can you give us a trust building exercise for couples?
Ooh, yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let y'all rock out with all your socks out, and I'm gonna let y'all know that in the next episode we can talk about trust building exercises. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get together.
I was trying to get it for free. I was trying to get it for free. I was reaching a little bit. I know, damn, because I wanted you to drop, a few trust building exercises that's for couples, because women don't trust us.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of reasons not to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whether it be trauma from their childhood, whether it be trauma from past relationships, whether it be the fact that the fear of being hurt and left alone. Mm-hmm. What are certain? You got to come back. You got to come back, and you got to drop a couple of exercises and drop and talk about it on not just on the relationship level, but on a community level, right? Mm-hmm. But is that the biggest issue for submission?
Trust?
Yes.
In my opinion, yes, absolutely.
I always thought it wasn't trust. I thought it was a cultural, religious thing.
Yeah. I would say that it is trust on the backs of trauma.
Wow.
It is trust on the back of trauma. We as a people have a difficulty in trusting each other in general. And so it's no surprise that when we get in a romantic relationship, we don't trust one another. Mm-hmm. And we don't trust each other in general because of generations of things that have happened to us because of the current climate of the world we live in.
Right. Some people say, I remember Sugar Bum said, the reason it's not, you say submission, but she said submission was accepted back then because women had no choice. But I think you mentioned that earlier. You alluded to that earlier.
Yeah, Sugar Bomb, you pulled up on us late. I spoke to that earlier.
Right. And would you mind just elaborating what you meant so we could have so people could know what you meant by that? You gave onus to the history of abuse, the history of women not being valued the same. But can you elaborate more on that if you don't mind?
So here's what I'll say. I think that I don't necessarily agree with the idea that submission was forced. I think that the mindset of women years ago was different. And I think that women came to the relationship with more of a servant mindset. That's how we came up with the title that we have for today's conversation. I don't think that it was forced, but I will agree that women back then needed their man more than they need him now. As a result, they were more inclined to work together or submit. And so those are my thoughts on it. I don't think that it was forced, but I think that there were certain dynamics about the culture, the society, and the world in which we live 30, 40, 50 years ago that cultivated submission in a way that is just not cultivated today. And some of those elements weren't healthy. But I agree to the extent that there were some people, and King said this, I did put onus on that. There were some people and some men who did show up in a relationship in an unhealthy way, and it was forced. But I think that it also has a lot to do with how women needed men more back then than they do now.
Right. Chris had a good point, and I think we are going to close out. After you answer this question, I want your closing remarks. But I want you to talk about, Dr. Hood talked about it, temporary submission in order for a woman to get to walk down the aisle. How can you help men notice a woman pretending to be submissive just to get her way? Because women are the masters of giving a man a narrative to get what they want and then switching, bait and switch, right? Mm-hmm. How, as men, can we spot that?
Oh man. So Chris, you gotta hit me up, bro. We get together, we'll talk about it. I definitely happy to help you with that. What I'll say to our audience tonight is this. I really believe that there are some important ingredients that we need in our lives and in the dating and relationship space. And this applies to women as well, but we're talking about the fellas now. And one of those things is I really believe that we need to have healthy community. When we have healthy community, it allows us the ability to be able to take the people that we are vetting, that we are dating, that we are courting around the people closest to us, and allow them to also form an opinion and provide healthy feedback. So what I mean more specifically is there are women in my life that I know, that I love, that I trust, that mean nothing but the best. And when I'm serious about a woman, I take them around her.
Wow.
Because it allows me the ability to be able to sit back and say, okay, what did you think?
Yes, I do that too.
It allows me the ability to say to my sisters, I'm fortunate I have 4 amazing sisters. It allows me to say to my sisters, all right, tell me what you think. And they know me well enough to know that I'm the kind of man that I will eat the meat and spit out the bones. It doesn't necessarily mean because they said they didn't like her that I won't choose her. What it means is I will take fully into consideration into what they've said and how it could show up in the future and the problems or the blessings and the curses that could come along with it. The second thing I'll say, the lady's not going to like this, but I feel strongly about this, and I've been consistent with saying this for a long time. And even some of my colleagues in the field don't agree with me. So shout out to them. They can come and argue with me on the show if they want to. But I really believe that men need to take their time in the vetting process. I really believe men need to take their time in the vetting process. One of the reasons why we feel like we got slipped with the okie doke, or Mr. Brown used to say, we feel like we got manipulated, is because we have not taken the time to properly vet. She got lips, she got hips, she got fingertips. She's talk a good game. She smell good. You know, she throwing that thing back like you want her to, and now you think you're supposed to run to the altar. In my opinion, you do not truly know a person until you've gotten to see them in 4 seasons of life.
Wow, 4 seasons of life.
4 seasons of life. I mean, let's keep it above. You don't really know a person until they got a bunch of money. You ever notice how dudes act funny when they get a couple dollars?
Right.
In the dating experience, you need to get to see how that person manages their money. In the dating experience, you need to get to see how that person handles setback, disappointment, and denial or no.
Say that again, please. Please.
In the dating experience, we need to see how that person handles setback, disappointment, and denial or no. It's basically rejection. One of the most powerful.
I like a little brat when a girl says, "Nah, I ain't going for it. I got to work on that, man."
And so here's the thing, and the reason why, for the exact reason you just said it, is the reason why it's important. When you tell somebody no, you get to see how they really gonna act.
Wow.
And the truth of the matter is, we have a whole bunch of 30, 40, 50-year-old people who say they grown, who throw temper tantrums when they don't get what they want.
When I say I used to act like that, when I say I used to act like that, I mean last week used to act like that.
Hey, but the truth of the matter is, we all do it. It just shows up in different ways. I'm not talking only about no in the confines of relationship. It could be a business deal.
Right.
Trying to make it, and you get a solid no. You working hard, you grinding, you putting in the work, you putting in them sleepless nights, and the contract fall through. How you show up in relationship is going to be different, and your partner needs to see it.
Right. Right.
I've come to discover, for those of us who are evolved, people who are about this legacy building, we handle our setbacks and our disappointments in the building process of our businesses and in our legacy in a way that is very harsh.
Yes.
The people close to us bear the brunt of that. They carry the weight of that.
Yes.
You as a person need to see, one, how that's going to impact you, and you need to see how they're going to handle you when you are the one that's crying because the contract fell through, because that 6-figure in-stream income stopped.
Whew. Whew. Thank God mine didn't stop. Thank God. We try to keep it going. We try to make it 7 figures by next year. What's up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank y'all so much for this amazing conversation.
Thank
I can't thank you enough, man. I can't thank you so much for this robust conversation. I knew it was going to be fire, and your audience has been amazing. So shout out to the audience for just coming up, asking their questions, sharing their comments. My name is Olamont Roberson. I'm a trained mental health professional, published author of one book entitled Love Nuggets. Please go out and get you a copy of it. If you're looking to support the work that I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram at OLSpeaks. You can also follow me on TikTok at OSpeaksNuggets. You can follow me on all social media platforms. I am out here doing a daggone thing, sharing my heart, sharing my passion with my community on Black love and relationship. And I am here to connect with the people, to make a difference, and to impact and empower the lives of the people that need it most. So thank you again for this great conversation, and I'm happy to be here. And please feel free to reach out. I'm excited about part 2 because I know it's going down. We got to get together and make it happen.
Definitely gonna get it down. I want to say thank you for coming. This is what we needed. We've been participating in pointless issues on YouTube, and I'm glad we came back to this because this is timeless material. Please look at. Please go and support his page. He's one of the people that I'm telling you. Remember, I tell you this. He's one of those people. Like I brag about Mr. Real Estate, I'm bragging about him. I tell you about Darrell. He's one of those people that's gonna make a scene. So enjoy this now, because it's gonna be a time where we can't even get next to him. He's gonna call security on us. So just enjoy this shit now. With that being said, I want to say thank you, and I want to let everybody know, be safe out here. Have a good night, and also please, the one thing I took from the entire night that really I think blew my mind away was, it's not about us being providers or protectors, does your leadership style is your leadership style aligned with her personality and her quality of life? And that is going to save a lot of relationships. Stop fighting with him. Just say, you know what, you're not the leader that's going to make me submit. And move on. But also, ladies, know who you are. Stop thinking you know your leadership style that you are attracted to when you don't even know yourself. A lot of y'all don't even know yourself to know what the leadership style that you would like. So a lot of self-inventory, right? A lot of self-inventory. But that really fucked me up. And I thank you for that.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. It's been my pleasure. And I think if the audience could walk away with anything that I had to say tonight, it would be that true love and relationship is possible in the right situation and under the right circumstances. And it's up to you to create the garden of love that you long for in your life and in your relationship. And it's possible when you lean on your faith, when you invite important and helpful people to the conversation, and you set healthy boundaries when it comes to leadership in your relationship.
Thank you so much. And everybody, have a good night. We had an amazing show, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.